Okay, so it says a register of births and baptisms for the year 1816, May 25th, baptized the following slaves. And there we find Henry Tracy Goulburn. And it says ditto.
So slave.
Ditto slave to Belmont. And this is, definitely what I expected to find in my heritage.
Naomie has traced her grandfather's line back to her great-great-great-grandparents, Andrew Tuller and Rebecca Goulburn. She's on her way to Eastern Davistown in St Anne's Parish, where she knows Andrew and Rebecca lived 150 years ago.
Okay, I think I found her. This is Rebecca, born April 1843. And these must be her parents. So it's Henry Goulburn and Letitia, his wife. So Henry and Letitia are my 4 times great-grandparents. So I know who they are, so I can trace back even further.
Naomie has now gone back 6 generations to discover that Rebecca's parents, her great-great-great-great-grandparents, were Henry Goulburn and his wife, Letitia.
So I found out the names of my 4 times great-grandparents, and I understand that you know more.
I do. So I'm going to show you this.
The record of marriages solemnized in the parish of St Anne in the county of Middlesex in the year 1839. Henry and Goulburn and Letitia Bennett, and married by banns on the 29th day of September.
They are being married by banns, which means they're being married in the church. And normally speaking, that indicates that at least one of them has been baptized.
Okay.
And that can take us to looking for a baptismal record, which of course is another way of moving back in time.
Okay, so it says a register of births and baptisms for the year 1816, May 25th, baptized the following slaves. And there we find Henry Tracy Goulburn. And it says ditto.
So slave.
Ditto slave to Belmont. And this is, definitely what I expected to find in my heritage. And it's just wonderful that I can put names to, my 4 times great-grandfather. That's incredible.
Is early in the for Caribbean records. It's pretty early record, especially for the enslaved people. It's quite a special thing.
And above, we have Forbes Tracy Goulburn, and that's also ditto to him being a slave. And it says to Bellevue. So they must be related.
And this is his brother. There's probably a miswriting in the record. And the likelihood is that both of them actually are from the Bellevue property, which is here in St Anne.
So this is the Bellevue estate?
I would tend to call it a property more than an estate, in the sense that we're looking at like 50 acres of land. It's not like one of the huge sugar estates. And the word Bellevue literally means beautiful view.
Yeah. So what kind of crops would have been grown on this estate?
There could have been possibly coffee, possibly something like ginger or pimento. Possibly they're growing it for themselves, but with a little bit for sale.
Okay.
So it's not like a large sugar estate or anything like that. The people who lived here, the people who owned the property, would have known Henry and his brother from the time when they were small children. They would have known them by name. They would have watched them grow, so to speak.
Child slaves were set to work as young as possible. Naomie's 4 times great-grandfather Henry and his brother Forbes are likely to have worked Bellevue's fields from the age of just 6.
There's a massive disconnect between this Bellevue, which it really is a stunning view, and the horrendous suffering that must have happened here.
Suzanne's research has revealed more about Henry and his brother Forbes, who were enslaved on the Bellevue property.
So I'm going to show you this.
And a return of slaves in the parish of St. Anne in the possession of William Levers in the year of our Lord, 1817.
All right, so essentially a return of slaves was a document listing all the
Right.
persons who were enslaved on your property, and you had to do it every 3 years from 1817 up to 1832.
Right.
And this is about Bellevue. So here are the names.
So there we have James, Edward, Forbes. So that's Forbes Goulburn. And then Henry Tracy Goulburn.
Right.
Okay. Ooh. And there's a Thomas Goulburn. And they're calling their colours
Right.
Negro, Sambo, right? Sambo. So what does that mean?
Okay, so essentially at that time, if you were half white and half black, you were what was called mulatto. And then if you were 3/4 black and a quarter white, you were a Sambo.
Ah,
So
okay.
it's weird
Yeah.
and uncomfortable in a certain way.
And we have African or Creole.
Right. So Creole is someone born in Jamaica.
Right.
And African,
Okay.
obviously, somebody born in Africa.
And then the mothers. All these children belong to Elizabeth Levers. She's the mother of all of them.
And here she is.
Wow.
So her name is Elizabeth Levers, and it is not uncommon for persons to take the same last name as the owner of that estate.
Okay.
So here
38. She's 38 in 1817. So she was Negro and she was African. So she would have been brought from Africa to Jamaica as a slave and then had all of these children.
That's right.
So she's my 5 times great-grandmother.
That's right.
I found out my 5 times great-grandmother.
And she came from Africa.
Yes.
She
Probably
came across the
Nigeria.
sea. It's certainly very likely that that's where your Nigerian ancestry is coming
Yeah.
from.
Wow. But that is absolutely incredible. When I started this whole journey, I would never have thought I would get back to the 18th century, back to Africa. I am so over the moon about that. I mean, that's the origin of my family.